Hello everyone. Today I got a special video for you. I wanted to record a more casual video and give you some updates about the channel. As you might have seen, I started a podcast with some friends. We'll be talking about some of the ships in the game from a historical, queer and geographical perspectives, so you can check it out in the description if you want. Also, I have been preparing something special for the Mesmer video, so stay tuned for that. With that said, let's dive into today's topic, and that is the depths of myth. It is a sea, a vault that exists beyond time and space, with the capacity to shape dreams into reality. Inside of it lies everything from humanity's most dearest emotions to the oldest legends. And there's definitely some cosmic horror going on here, considering the fact people get dissolved in it and their consciousness scatters in this abyssal sea. Not to mention there's something waiting in the depths of the Sea of Myths. What this might be we will discuss in a bit. In the story, the Manus have tried to open a way into the depths, and we know the storm has affected it. There's also the fact that the mythological could manifest here. The depths of myth are of course a reference to Jung's theory of the collective unconscious. His first use of the term was in 1912, I believe, in what he initially referred to as the archaic heritage of humanity, making the claim that the spirit comes from a collective unconscious and appears as archetypes, concluding that the psyche is not of today but instead goes back many millions of years from the root matter of the unconscious, the mother of all things as he calls it. Now, he also declares that everyone possesses a stock of archetypal images which are stored in the collective psyche and transmitted over the ages through evolutionary mechanisms. You can see why some authors have argued that this is a very, let's say, reductive and deterministic model where image and symbolic meaning are basically prearranged or encoded. Some even compare it to the ideas related to the Aperon of the Greeks, which is interesting in the context of reverse. So, the archetypes I mentioned earlier are the shadow, a nexus of impulses which we repress, the anima, which is the man's unconscious image of woman, and the animus, woman's unconscious image of men. Jung associates intellect with men and emotion with woman, a view that is deeply problematic when we think about it. Even if there are clear problems with his approach to the interpretation of myths, I think something we can take from this is that myths affect us at an unconscious level. So why are we drawn to them? Going back to the depths of myth, what I find interesting about Jung is that when it comes to mythology, he says that it could be taken as a projection of the collective unconscious. According to Hillman, when we are born, we emerge into life, scripted by the great myths of history. People give meaning to life through mythic thought, basically, using it as a vehicle to reach beyond the limits of science. Now, mythic thought in essence sees the external world in terms of internal psychological experience. When it comes to primordial myths, something we have to establish is that they are not simply stories. They are also inevitably procreation myths that reflect the conflicts between the reproductive interests of men and women. You know, all the horned gods, phallic images, etc. So they define the position of the sexes in the process of reproduction. There was a struggle, historically speaking, between goddess worship with a matriarchal consciousness and male monotheism, basically. One myth I think reflects what I'm trying to say is that of Perseus, I believe is how you pronounce his name, Perseus, and the Medusa, a creature with a head full of snakes, which have always been a symbol of goddess worship. She is the free woman, the spirit of the feminine, the witch in patriarchal society, and the myth of her decapitation and the denial of her sexuality and subjectivity negates the possibility of a matriarchal consciousness. In Greek mythology, women have been regularly associated with the geographical margins of the world. For example, the Greek poet Hesiod regularly characterized woman as a beyond glorious ocean. Freud also referred to the sexual life of adult women as a dark continent for psychology. And even Columbus represented America in his narratives as a mythologized and feminine place. So we can see how myth was an instrument of politics. These damn birds outside are ruining my recording. Anyway, so we can see how myth was an instrument of politics. They have a dual function within the gender system, reproduced from generation to generation, participating in its reproduction. Yet they also exist in multiple versions, which means they can reflect different perspectives as well as the struggles for power within this system. Now, characters that, according to Cipolla, are projections of the collective psyche are Theseus and the Minotaur. If you don't know the myth, well, basically it goes like this. The queen of Crete gave birth to the Minotaur. So King Minos built a massive labyrinth under the palace to keep it hidden. Theseus then was a young Greek forced into the labyrinth to be devoured by the Minotaur. But Ariadne falls in love with him, so she helps him slay the Minotaur, and she also gives him a golden thread to help him escape. Theseus then represents the patriarchal hero of Athens, and the Minotaur, the symbol of matriarchy. The labyrinth then is a symbol of matriarchal consciousness and initiations. Also, I think the image of the golden thread is interesting here, especially since it is related to the thread of fate and the spinning wheel. So what? There's a Minotaur in the deepest trench of the depths of myth? An endless labyrinth, maybe? I don't know. Would be cool though. Maybe it's just the back rooms. Who knows? Anyways, that's gonna be all from me, folks. I hope I didn't bore you too much. Thank you all for watching, and as always, I wish you all good health. Take care.